We're on SAT Practice Test 10, Math Section 1, Question 8. What's the level of difficulty here? This is probably the first medium question. Which expression is equivalent to this big old mess where m, q, and z are positive? All right, I'm assuming that you came here because you're a little rusty on this exponent stuff or you don't know it. The way to remember how to do this is to think about PEMDAS. And what you're going to do is you're going to go down in PEMDAS when you're doing exponents. So if you're doing exponent to an exponent, you're going to multiply. If you're multiplying exponents, you're going to add. Multiplying is like addition. And if you're dividing exponents, you're going to subtract. That's all there is to it. I'm going to write A, B, C, D because I know that I'm going to cross off here. I got to rewrite this mess. It sucks. You might be able to get away with not writing things, but I find that writing it down really helps you keep track of stuff. Take it one step at a time, one letter at a time. So what are we doing here? We are multiplying, right? If you had 4, this thing, it would be 4 times 3. So we're just multiplying these two things. All right? So it's m to the 4th times m. What do? We add it. So it's m to the 5th. Now before we do anything else, let's go and see if we can cross off any answer choices. A has m to the 4th. That's gone. B, m to the 5th. C, m to the 6th. D, m to the 20th. We are done. If we want to check it, because we just don't feel confident with that, q to the 4th, q to the 5th. We're multiplying, so we add. That's q to the 9th. There it is, right? It's also the only answer choice that has q to the 9th in it. So B's the answer. You can get this right incredibly quickly as long as you know these rules and move on. We're on SAT Practice Test 10, Math Section 1, Question 9. What's the level of difficulty here? We're squarely in medium land. It's not hard, just takes more work. Triangle ABC is similar to triangle XYZ, where A, B, and C correspond to X, Y, and Z, respectively. In triangle ABC, the length of AB is 170 and the length of BC is 850. In triangle XYZ, the length of YZ is 60. What's the length of XY? So we're looking for XY length. We got two problems here. We need to know what similar is, and we don't have any triangles to look at. Similar means same exact shape, different sizes. Great. Where are the figures? Not here, so we're going to draw them. Equal Testing Service tells us nothing about the shapes of the triangles, so we're just going to draw them like we're 5 years old. Doesn't have to be to scale. Here's ABC. Draw another triangle that looks just like it. And then corresponding to means this in the same places, so there's XYZ. All right, cool. So in triangle ABC, AB is 170, BC is 850. In triangle XYZ, YZ is 60, and we are looking for XY. So let's visualize that. The way to solve this is with a proportion, and a proportion is a fraction, an equal sign, and another fraction. We're going to keep the stuff on top, and the stuff on bottom. So I'm going to put the big triangle on top. 850, that's this side right here, is the same as this side right here. 60, small triangle on bottom. Okay, big triangle on top, 170, that's this side right here, is the same as in the small triangle, I don't know, so it's X. Anytime I have a fraction, equal sign, fraction, I'm going to cross multiply, so it's just 850x equals 170 times 60. You're going to do that on your calculator, you're going to get 10,200. And then you're just going to divide both sides by 850 to get x by itself. And when you do that, you're going to get 10,200 divided by 850, and guys, that's 12. It's an easy problem. It just takes a lot of work. You got to draw stuff, you got to do steps. Get it right and move on. We're on SAT Practice Test 10, Math Section 1, Question 10. What's the level of difficulty here? Squarely medium. If x over y equals 4 and 24x over ny equals 4, what's the value of n? So we're looking for n, write it down and circle it. Is this problem a plugin? Definitely. How do you know? Well, it's got letters crawling all over it. There's no constants. Just make stuff up. You can make up anything you want as long as you follow the rules of the problem. X over Y's got to be 4, so easy. X equals 8, so Y's got to be what? Y's got to be 2. 8 over 2 is 4. All right, so now we know what everything is, basically, except n. 24 times what? X is 8 over n times y, so that's 2n equals 4. All right, so I got to do 24 times 8 in my calculator. And I get 192 over 2n. At this point, I'm going to put 4 over 1 so I can see that I could cross multiply. I'm going to do it over here. I'm going to get 2n times 4, that's 8n equals 192. What do you do now? Divide both sides by 8. Do it on your calculator. And guys, it's 24. And it doesn't matter what numbers you plug in, as long as you plug in numbers that fit the rules, you're going to get 24. It's awesome. Plug in, get it right, move on. We're on SAT Practice Test 10, Math Section 1, Question 11. What's the level of difficulty here? It's medium. Got this function. The function W models the volume of liquid in milliliters in a container t seconds after it begins draining from a hole at the bottom. According to the model, what's the predicted volume draining from the container each second? All right, this is obviously a function. Remember that SAT functions love 0 and 1. Let's rewrite the function. What are the parts? This is the volume. And t's seconds. All you got to do is plug in. You can plug in anything that you want, but functions on the SAT love 0 and 1. So let's just plug in 0 for t, 0 time. What's going to happen? Well, it's going to be 300 minus what? 4 times 0, which is 0, so that's 300. So at time 0 seconds, what's going on? You got 300 volume, which makes sense, right? That's the start. All right, let's plug in 1. T equals 1. Run it again. 300 minus, this time t is 1, so it's 4 times 1, so 4. That's 296. So what happens after 1 second? What's the difference? It's 4. So how much is draining each second? 4. So the answer is D. Get this question right very quickly and move on. We're on SAT Practice Test 10, Math Section 1, Question 12. What's the level of difficulty here? It is squarely medium. It is not hard. The graph of y equals f of x is shown, where function f is defined by this hairy mess, a, b, c, and d are constants. For how many values of x does f of x equal 0? So let's write down the question. And guys, Evil Testing Service is just counting on a freak factor here, because a lot of kids are going to look at this and they're like, oh man, I have no idea what's going on here. But this problem is really easy. It comes up very frequently, and once you know how to do it, it's just insane. So what do you know? You know that y equals f of x, and you know that f of x equals what in the question? 0. So what's y? Y is 0. All right, how many times does that happen? Well, y is 0 when it's on the x-axis. How many times does that happen? 1, 2, 3. That's it, man. This is a one-step problem. The answer is C. Get it right in 5 seconds and move on. We're on SAT Practice Test 10, Math Section 1, Question 13. What's the level of difficulty here? It's medium. It's not hard. Got a function. You got a stupid story about the function. A conservation scientist implemented a program to reduce the population of a certain species in an area. The given function estimates this species' population X years after 2008 and x is less than or equal to 8. Which of the following is the best interpretation of 3,000 in this context? Real important to write down the question here. What's 3,000? Circle that. Okay. SAT functions love 0 and 1. If you're on the SAT, you encounter a function, you should think, can I plug in 0 or 1 here? Rewrite the function, and before I plug in, I want to know, what am I plugging in for? What is x? It's years after 2008. So if I make x 0, what year is it? It's 2008. And what's going to happen? Let's run it. So it's 3,000 times 0.75 to the what? To the 0. What's anything to the 0 power? It's 1. So it's 3,000 times 1, and that's 3,000. All right, so what's going on in 2008? 3,000. What's 3,000? It's 2008. It's going to go and cross off answer choices. Some of these answer choices are going to make 0 sense to us. The estimated percent decrease in the population for this species in area every 8 years after 2008 makes no sense to me. B, the estimated percent decrease in the population for this species and area each year after 2008 doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Can't cross it out. C, the estimated population for this species and area 8 years after 2008. Doesn't make a lot of sense, not crossing it out. D, the estimated initial population for this species and area in 2008. That's what I found, right? 3,000 is what happens in 2008. So I know that's the answer when I get to it. The answer is D. This problem has a lot of words which I have to read. It does not take nearly as long as it took here to get this question right and move on. We're on SAT Practice Test 10, Math Section 1, Question 14. What's the level of difficulty here? I say it's medium. Some people are going to find it hard because there's a formula that they're not going to know. But it's not very hard at all as long as you memorize the formula. You got this equation. The given equation relates the variables x and y. For what value of x does the value of y reach its minimum? So what are we looking for? Write it down and circle it. This is the quadratic equation. You've been doing quadratic equations since like 9th grade. What are quadratic equations for? They're for parabolas. A parabola reaches its minimum when it's at its lowest point. The formula couldn't be simpler. It's negative b over 2a. What are b and a? Well, again, you've been doing this for a long time. Quadratic equation is just ax squared plus bx plus c. Looks a lot like that. A x squared is this thing, so what's a? It's just 1. Bx is this thing, so what's b? It's negative 14. Don't even need to do c, it's not in this formula. Alright, so negative b, be slightly careful, that's negative 14, which is 14, over 2a, so 2 times 1, which is 2, anybody can do that, it's 7. So as long as you memorize this formula, put it in your calculator, otherwise know it, get this problem easily, and move on. We're on SAT Practice Test 10, Math Section 1, Question 16. What's the level of difficulty here? It's supposed to be hard, we're in that area, but guys, this problem is medium. You've got two equations. The solution to the given system of equations is AB. What's the value of B? So right now what we're looking for, B. Guys, this problem is simultaneous equations. How do you know? Because you've got two equations. Simultaneous equations are always the same. You're going to stack them up, and then you're going to add or subtract. There can be wrinkles that make simultaneous equations problems hard, but there are 0 wrinkles here. You got to rewrite it because it's a digital test. Put a line under it, and then make sure to keep your terms lined up, your A's, your B's, your numbers. When you add or subtract, your goal is to make something go away. Here, if we subtract, we can just make the A's go away. 8b minus 4b, that's 4b, equals 198 minus 98. Do it on your calculator if you want, but that's just 100. You can divide both sides by 4, which you can probably also do in your head. B is 25. And hey, look, that's what you're looking for. That's the answer. You can get this right incredibly quick and move on. We're on SAT Practice Test 10, Math Section 2, Question 3. What's the level of difficulty? It's medium. Medium questions start on Question 3 on Section 2. Caleb used juice to make popsicles. An evil testing service is going to make a function about it. The function f of x equals negative 5x plus 30 approximates the volume in fluid ounces of juice Caleb had remaining after making x popsicles. Which statement is the best interpretation of the y-intercept of the graph of y equals f of x in the xy plane in this context? It's really important to write down what we're looking for in this question. What's the y-intercept? So let's just start by writing down the function, and let's label what the function stuff is. So what's x? ETS says that x is popsicles. What's f of x? Function approximates the volume of juice Caleb had remaining after making x popsicles. So f of x is volume juice remaining. Alright guys, SAT functions love 0 and 1. So if you're on a function on the SAT, you should think about real hard plugging in 0 and 1 into the function. Let's just try that out. Let's plug in 0. So if we plug in 0 for x, we're going to get negative 5 times 0 plus 30. And let's just run it. So it's negative 5 times 0, that's 0, plus 30, that's 30. So we get 30. So we get 30 juice remaining when we do 0 popsicles. Want to run it again? Let's try it with 1. Negative 5 times 1 plus 30. Negative 5 times 1 is negative 5, plus 30, that's 25. So what happened here? If we do 1 popsicle, we have 25 juice remaining. All right, what do you think the y-intercept is? It looks to me like the y-intercept is 30 juice when I do 0 popsicles. So I'm going to write that down. And then I'm going to go to ABCD and I'm going to cross stuff off. A. Caleb used approximately 5 fluid ounces of juice for each popsicle. Well, that looks like it's true, and a lot of people are going to keep this, so we're going to keep it for now, right? That's definitely true. You got 30 at 0 popsicles, 25 at 1 popsicle. Looks like he used 5 for each popsicle. Keep it. B. Caleb had approximately 5 fluid ounces of juice when he began. No, man. When he began at 0 popsicles, how much juice did he have? He had 30. So B is gone. C. Caleb had approximately 30 fluid ounces of juice when he began making popsicles. That's true. 0 popsicles, 30 juice. D. Caleb used approximately 30 fluid ounces of juice for each popsicle. Not true. 30, 25, looks like he's using 5, right? So that's gone. Okay. Make sure you answer the question. What's the question? What's the y-intercept? Y-intercept is 30. What's going on at 30? That's 0 popsicles. Caleb had approximately 30 fluid ounces when he began making popsicles. That's the answer. A is true, but it doesn't answer the question. Pretty sneaky, evil testing service. C is the answer. You can get this right a lot quicker than it took me to explain it, and move on. We're on SAT Practice Test 10, Math Section 2, Question 4. What's the level of difficulty here? It's medium. And it's important to remember that it's medium, because if it looks really hard to you, it doesn't matter. It's medium. A physics class is planning an experiment about a toy rocket. The equation y equals negative 16 times x minus 5.6 squared plus 502 gives the estimated height y in feet of the toy rocket x seconds after it is launched into the air. Which of the following is the best interpretation of the vertex of the graph of the equation in the xy plane? So, very important to think about what it is we're looking for. It's the vertex. Let's start by rewriting the equation, and let's label what x and y are. What's y? It's the height. And what's x? It's seconds after launch. All right, I'm going to write A, B, C, D because I know I'm going to cross off. Best way to do this problem is just to go down and plug in the answer choices. A. This toy rocket reaches an estimated maximum height of 502 feet 16 seconds after it's launched into the air. So let's just run this equation with the numbers that we have. Y is 502, right? It's the height, equals negative 16 times, what's x? 16 minus 5.6 squared plus 502. You got to get out your calculator and do this. 16 minus 5.6, that's 10.4. You square it. You're going to get 108.16. You're going to multiply that by negative 16. And you're going to get negative 1730.56 plus 502. And you should be able to see that that's not going to equal 502. So A is gone. All right, let's look at B. This rocket reaches an estimated maximum height of 502 feet 5.6 seconds after it's launched in the air. All right, let's try that. Y, right, that's the height, 502, equals negative 16 times x. What's x? 5.6 minus 5.6 squared plus 502. All right, this is really easy because 5.6 minus 5.6 is 0. 0 times negative 0 squared is 0, and then 0 times negative 16 is 0. So it's 502 equals 502. Hey, that's true. Guys, that's it. That's the answer. Get this right very, very quickly. C and D don't matter because you plugged in the answers and you found one that works, and you move on. We're on SAT Practice Test 10, Math Section 2, Question 5. What's the level of difficulty? It's medium. The function f is defined by f of x equals 4x plus k times x minus 1. K is a constant. F of 5 is 32. What's the value of f of 10? So let's write down exactly what we want. This problem takes a few steps. You may be able to get away with doing fewer steps than we do here, but I want to show you enough of them to make sure it makes sense to you. A function is just Evil Testing Service asking, can you follow directions? Can you follow directions? Awesome. Then you can do a function. Write down the function. F of 5 is 32. So what you got to do is every time you see an x, you're going to put in a 5. 4 times 5, what's that? That's 20. Plus k, we don't know what that is, times 5 minus 1, that's 4. All right, what's that supposed to equal? 32. So we got simple algebra here. 20 plus 4k equals 32. We're going to move the 20 across. It's going to change signs. 12 equals 4k. We're going to divide both sides by 4. So what's k? K is 3. Cool. So now we know what k is. We're going to run the function again for f of 10. So every time we see an x, what are we going to put in? 10. All right, so 4 times 10, that's 40. Plus, now we know what k is, that's 3 times, or see an x, we're going to put in a 10 minus 1, which is 9. So it's 40 plus 27, and that's 67. Get it right. It does take a few steps. It's a medium problem. It's not easy, but it's definitely not hard. We're on SAT Practice Test 10, Math Section 2, Question 6. What's the level of difficulty here? It's medium. Triangles ABC and DEF are congruent, where A corresponds to D and B and E are right angles. The measure of angle A is 18 degrees. What's the measure of angle F? So what are we looking for? We're looking for angle F. All right, triangles aren't here, so you have to draw them. What does congruent mean? Congruent means exactly the same. And we know we have right angles. So we have two right triangles. Let's draw them as much the same as we can, but don't stress about it. B and E are the right angles, so we're going to put them on right angles. And then it doesn't matter where the other angles go as long as you put them in the same places. You just fill in what you know. Measure of angle A is 18. We're looking for this F right here. All right, if this is 90 and this is 18, 90 plus 18, what's that? It's 108. How many degrees in a triangle? 180. So 180 minus 108. Calculator math if you want. That's 72. 72 degrees right here. These triangles are congruent. That means they're exactly the same. How many degrees are at F? It's the same as what's at C. 72 degrees. So the answer is B. Medium problems are not hard. They just take a little bit of work. Get it right and move on. We're on SAT Practice Test 10, Math Section 2, Question 7. What's the level of difficulty? It's medium. We got two equations. Which point is a solution to the given system of inequalities in the xy plane? Guys, this is plug in the answer choices. All you got to do is plug in these x's and y's and see which one works for both equations. The best way to do this is to write down the answer choices. You don't need to write them all down. You can write down each answer choice one at a time, but make sure that you write down x and y because you don't want to get these backwards, which can happen. So A says negative 14 is x and y is 0. So let's just plug and chug, see what happens. Y, 0. The little one eats the big one, so is less than x, negative 14 plus 7. That's a negative 7. Is 0 less than negative 7? No. Don't need to do anything else. A is gone. B, 0, negative 14. So this time I'm doing the first equation again. Y is negative 14 less than or equal to 0 plus 7. Hey, that's true, right? 7 is bigger than negative 14. So now I got to do the second equation. Y, negative 14, bigger than or equal to negative 2 times x, negative 2 times 0, that's 0 minus 1. Is this true? No, negative 14 is not bigger than negative 1, so it's gone. All right, C, 0, 14. This time y is 14. 14 less than or equal to x is 0, so 0 plus 7 is 14 less than 7. It's not, so that's gone. All right, we got time. Let's do D. 14 and 0. This time y is 0, so we're doing the first equation. Y, 0, is less than 14 plus 7, 21. That's true. Checks out. So we're going to do the second equation. Y is 0 is bigger than negative 2 times 14. That's negative 28 minus 1. That's negative 29. 0 is bigger than negative 29. Hey, that works. You leave this thing knowing that you're right. Does not take longer or much longer than the algebra. You definitely get it right and you move on. We're on SAT Practice Test 10, Math Section 2, Question 8. What's the level of difficulty here? This is the last medium problem that you're going to see on the SAT, so enjoy it. The dot plots represent the distributions of values in data sets A and B. There's the dot plots. You want to read this whole thing to see what's going on. Which of the following statements must be true? And then you're looking for the median and the standard deviation. Let's figure out what we can about the median. You can kind of shortcut this on a real SAT, but it doesn't take that long to write out the numbers. Time me. That didn't take that long, and it's going to take you about half the time because I'm writing on a computer screen. Do the other set. And to find the median, just cross off on each side. There's 1, there's 4, there's 4 over there, there's 2 over here, there's 2 over here. Median's going to be 13. And then over here, 2 over here, 2 over here, 4 over here, 4 over here, 2 over here, 2 over here. So the median here is going to be 13 as well. So what's the median in set A and set B? It's 13 for both of them. So there's kind of some cool stuff you can do here. Write down Roman numeral 1, Roman numeral 2. Write down A, B, C, D, and then just take Roman numeral 1, and let's see what's going on. Median of data set A is equal to the median of data set B. Well, that's true, right? So Roman numeral 1, we got to have that in the answer. A has it in the answer, B does not, C has it, and D does not. All right, that was the hard part of this question. Roman numeral 2 says the standard deviation of data set A is equal to the standard deviation of data set B. You do not need to know anything about standard deviation to get every standard deviation problem right on the SAT. All you need to know is that if the dot plots or the data looks exactly the same, then the standard deviation is the same. If it looks different at all, if it deviates at all, then the standard deviation is different. So look at these dot plots. Are they exactly the same? They're not. So the standard deviations are not the same. So 2 is gone, right? And that means that C is gone. And so the answer is A. You can get this problem right, you know you're right when you leave it, and you move on.